Robin Norwood's Women Who Love Too Much, book published in year 1990. It's still very much relevant today. I first stumbled upon it while listening to a live streaming of Loveline. It's also on their website, lovelineshow.com, under recommended readings. But when I first read this book, I had this desire to want to get to know the psyche, particularly with women, in terms of how they see themselves and how they look at their partners inside of relationships. And before I get down to my takeaway, I would like to play a little clip. And this is a clip where we have somebody, her name is Lisa Nichols, and she talks about, I believe that she's a relationship expert, and she's basically speaking out about the importance of how to get to having a good relationship based on the law of attraction. And here's the clip.
Inside relationships, it's important to first understand who's coming into the relationship. And I don't mean about your partner, I mean about you.
The first time I heard that, obviously I've never really been in a relationship before, seriously looked at myself in it before. I didn't really understand it, but after reading Norwood's book, I got it. I really got it, and I really got what Lisa was saying when she says you can't look at the other person, you have to look at yourself. And what I mean by that is, let's just say if I were to meet somebody, meet some person, and we're chatting, and initially it would be assumed that I would look at that person and see how good they are to me when I'm entering a relationship with them. And naturally, I find that a lot of people, especially women, whom she talks about in this book, she really goes into details about how women who come from very troubled backgrounds, they like to fix people. They look at the other person for external validation. And but really, when you meet somebody, whatever their story is, it's really a reflection of where you stand, your positioning, where you are in your life. And I would imagine that if I were to meet somebody right now and potentially enter a relationship with them, but if I find out as I'm knowing them, as I'm getting to know them, that they have drug-related problems or problems being emotionally unavailable, that now I think I can look at that now and say, well, you know what? Maybe this is where I'm at right now. I'm not ready to be in a healthy relationship because there's clearly something about my past that's manifesting itself that I still believe in, that I'm still thinking about, and it's shown up. So I gotta get back. I gotta retract. I gotta be able to say, you know what, I can't do this. I gotta nurture myself first, and that's what Norwood really emphasizes. All of the whole idea of self-acceptance, self-respect, self-love, accepting who you are, forgiving who you are, and loving who you are. And along the book, she illustrates a chart, a really great chart, which she calls the progression of women who love too much to recovery. And I like to personally call it the dramatic structure of damaged people. And essentially what it is everything that damages us and traumatizes us, let it be dysfunctional families, abuse in the house, sexual or physical, this all becomes part of our conditioning, our past conditioning that sort of we become partnered with through our development into becoming adults, and that sort of becomes leads to, I should say rather, the creation of the fear that makes us feel inadequate. We become very much in denial of our feelings, of what happened, and most likely we end up looking outside into the world for validation, for external validation, and eventually it gets to a point where if I let's say if I were to be a girl entering a relationship right now, I would start to feel like this fear, even though it is my primary motivation for trying to make these relationships work. I'm stressed because I'm finding that these relationships are more and more becoming, they're not working, they're not appearing to be what I want them to be. I'm trying to be, I'm controlling, I'm want to give everything. I'm desperately loving this person. I'm desperately trying to make this work. And this becomes the stress, the factor that leads into what Norwood calls the crucial phase, which is the beginning of the addictive personality, the beginnings of the addictions of drugs, of sex and food, and a lot of other compulsive disorders and obsessions that are as a result of the stress. And as we continue to go on through this stress, letting our fear getting the best of how we act and how we carry ourselves in the world, we eventually get to the point where it becomes chronic. The addictions are more chronic, they're more serious now, they're advanced, and our bodies go from being totally stressed to decaying our person. And it's also the deterioration of our personalities and our bodies. We are completely insane at this point, and we don't realize it until at some point we hit rock bottom, our life falls apart. Let it be a happening of some sort of an accident, some sort of truth is revealed, some extramarital affair, for example. Someone cheated on you, and at this point, there's two ways that a person can go on. Either they continue through this path of delusion, thinking that somehow they can continue to work, and usually that leads to some complications. It could possibly lead to the end of your life. People often kill themselves for this, as she states in this book. Or she can go on realizing she's becoming having that awareness to want to seek help, to want to make things better for yourself, better for me. So then I would choose to go see a professional, some sort of somebody with clinical expertise and familiarity with this area and experiences that are willing to help me heal. And that would be going through groups like Al-Anon or AA meetings for alcoholics. And that's really what eventually brings a peak back up to realizing that when we're in these meetings, when we're with these people, we realize that there's an empathy here, that we're not alone, and through that we get to hear about other people's stories, and we start healing ourselves and accepting ourselves and loving ourselves and forgiving ourselves for being harsh on ourselves. And there's one thing that I think when you get to the part of recovery, what's the most beautiful thing that I learned about from this book is the idea that true love doesn't hurt. True love is peace, and Maya Angelou said this in an interview that she did for Oprah. Love liberates. It doesn't bind. It's not egoic. It's supposed to make you feel good. And what I took away from this book is definitely the idea that I really do need to nurture myself more than anything, and that's the reason why I left home. I need to love myself first and nurture myself first for anybody else.